Hello, welcome back to part 2 of my video post-mortem for Treasure Adventure Game. I'm Steven Orlando, the creator of Treasure Adventure Game, and I'm just kind of going through playing my game and talking about some of the issues and you know, things that happened while I was making the game, and just, you know, whatever comes to mind. Today I'm actually going to answer some of the questions that you guys posted on the first video. First, as you probably noticed, I got a new microphone. It should sound quite a bit better than the last one, so that was one of the biggest, I think most people commented on the microphone quality. So this one ought to be much better, and hopefully I'll come through clear. I'm backtracking a little bit here because I realized I forgot to pick up the sail that I need. And actually this is there's a glitch, see, look at that. I did have a few people who tested the game and who were playing it early on say this sail actually eluded them. So I kind of wanted to make it, you know, so you had to find the compass and the sail, but I think like a few people this point got them a little lost, but I still think it's I think if you pay attention it's not that bad. So alright, so now we can go find the sail. So that's already selected. Alright. So yeah, I actually already started recording this and I realized I screwed up, so I'm going to repeat what I said. Okay, so one thing that happened that I changed early on well, not early on, about halfway through the process was kind of radically changed how you navigated through the world. So see the island in the background there, for example? Originally, if you got to a point like here and you had your sail and your compass, you could press up or down. Well, in this case, you'd press up, and you would be able to travel into the background, and then the background would become the foreground, and you would be able to travel to that island. And that was really originally going to be how you navigate through the world, is you move back and forth along one, you know, one sort of section of the game, and then you would loop over on yourself, and if you wanted to travel into other islands, you'd have to move back and forth, sort of like as if they were stacked on top of each other. I was going to call it 2¼ D gameplay, because it's not really 2½D, but not really 2D. So, but I ended up cutting it out because it just didn't. Essentially, if you pressed up right here, you know, it would just sort of instantly transport you back to that frame, and it sort of lost this idea of traveling long distances over, you know, waters, and this whole sailing thing. It just didn't feel right. There were a few other small issues with it, and in the end, I kind of decided to go for the more traditional, just lay it out from end to end, which I think, you know, obviously in the long run was a better way to go. But I kind of wanted to do that. I thought it would be so much fun to, once the player discovered that they could do that, they would just feel like the world opened up to them, like seeing all these islands in the background. So the islands you see in the background don't really exist. I just kind of made these backgrounds, you know, kind of thinking that maybe it would entice people to try to figure out what maybe lied behind there, but they are just backgrounds for background's sake. So, all right, so we're gonna go to Samora. The other thing, GOG.com just released their version. Well, not their version. They just basically are, you know, republished Treasure Adventure Game for free, available for download on their website. And part of the deal we had was that I had to include some exclusive material for them. And so what they've got is they get a few of the songs from the soundtrack. They also get the sketches and stuff that are also available when you download the soundtrack. But what they really got that was exclusive was a couple levels from the game Karma, which is essentially the game that I kind of was working on before I made Treasure Adventure Game. Karma was really my first game that I worked on, and I sort of, after a few levels, scrapped it and decided to do Treasure Adventure Game. So, and the tree level, Angel Oak Island, and this level, Samora, are actually the first 2 levels of Karma, just redone to fit in with the gameplay of Tag. So if you decide to pick up, like I said, if you go to GOG.com and get that download and try Karma, you'll actually be able to play sort of like the beta of Treasure Adventure Game. And although it's essentially the same layout and the same graphics, the gameplay is quite different. It was sort of a different style. So And actually, you get to play as one of these little worm characters, and in one level, and you get to play as like, I guess, sort of like a grasshopper type character in another level. So I think it would be interesting to anyone who's enjoyed treasure adventure games. So yeah, I'd recommend checking that out. So, another thing I wanted to say, since we're on the topic, Karma was originally going to be a game where, you know, you kind of had to, actually this is a little example, like, you know, you'd have to like run into characters and figure out if you were going to help them or help yourself. So originally this here was kind of set up as like a test. So you would he tells you about his coin sack and you'd go get it, and then you could choose to either keep it and keep the money, which would then help you later in the game with the item you had to buy, or, you know, you could give it back to him. And ideally, you know, you had to gain enough karma to be able to move on to the next species, like, you know, reincarnate yourself or whatever. But I lost, you know, obviously when I moved to tag, I kind of got rid of that because it just wasn't really working right. But what originally inspired me to do karma was actually when I was on a fishing trip in Canada with a friend of mine. We were just on this, you know, we were on this little boat in this pristine lake up in near Quebec, and we were just out fishing all day. And when we get bored of fishing, we would kind of like park the boat on the shore, and I just remember seeing this tree. It was just like a dead tree kind of sticking out into the water, and you know, I was like snapping some photos of it, and just saw like this is like all the life and that was still living in this dead tree, like all the little spiders and different insects that had kind of made it home there. And it sort of gave me this idea of, you know, of the game of Karma, where, you know, you kind of start off as this very small, insignificant insect, and your entire world is this tree, and by doing, doing good things and gaining karma, eventually you would be able to reincarnate into a creature that would, you know, be, you know, more advanced and allow you to travel further and see more things. And so the game would kind of go where, you know, you'd start in just this tree, and then you'd become another creature, and you'd, you know, travel out into the world, and then eventually become human and, you know, save the world or whatever. So that was kind of how, you know, Karma all sort of came about originally. The Karma system just, it was, you know, as I said, it was the first game I made. The game design was a little weak, and I didn't feel like the idea came across right. So I sort of scrapped that, went for the easier to understand, hey, collect a bunch of treasures style gameplay, which I think, you know, is a lot easier to sort of design, and that's why I ended up with treasure adventure games. So it's a little background into the origin there for you. So let's see. I wanted to answer some questions that people had. One person on the comments from the last video asked if I was going to make a game starring Heowyn, the hero of legend in this game, and it's actually a really good question. I definitely have thought about it, and I kind of have an idea of how I'd want that gameplay to be, and I think it'd be a really fun story to tell how he, you know, originally found the 12 treasures. And I would imagine that, like, if you go to the museum and you read the little plaques on the 12 treasures, they all have different abilities, and I would actually make it so that as you played you know, that game, you would, you know, you eventually gain all those abilities. So if you want to get an idea of what that game might be, just go into the, you know, after you collect all the treasures, go into the museum, and actually I'm gonna do something here. There's a little secret, not really much of a secret, but if you do this just right, you can sneak in here. It makes it slightly easier to do this part. Not much, but oh, see, not really. I should have done it the other way. I see, what was I saying? So yeah, so basically, yeah, I think I would kind of do it. It would be, you know, slightly more. It would probably be like a slightly more RPG style with, you know, where you maybe have level up and have some stats. I'd probably do it pretty similar though, in the sense it would be platforming game, solving puzzles, and sort of Metroidvania style, but just taking place in the world before it was a series of islands. It would all take place on one, you know, massive land, and there's some other ideas I have for it, but I'm not sure if, you know, that's ever actually going to happen. But it would be nice if I had, you know, if I would get to do that someday. It definitely is something I've considered. So thanks for that question. Let's see what else here. Someone asked me about what it was like doing the pixel art for the game. And that's actually a really good question, because when I first started working on Karma, I really didn't have any skills in pixel art. And as some people will probably notice, a lot of the art is actually sort of borrowed from other things, and I tried to change it as much as possible. And actually, a lot of the art is original, my original work. But early on, I really had no ability to conceive of how to create pixel art, especially animations and things. So originally, I either borrowed things and got permission, or I borrowed things and just altered them. But as I went on and on, I started to pick up some of the skills. So this game's sort of a mishmash, and that's actually one of the reasons why the game is not commercially available. I didn't feel right selling something where the artwork wasn't originally 100% originally mine, and I kind of didn't really have necessarily all the rights to it. And so I'm not going to make that mistake again. I definitely, if I was, from now on, games I make are going to, all the art's going to be either something that I've, gotten legitimately or have made myself. So, but essentially, how I learned it was just, like I said, I started by just finding things that I liked and were similar to what I wanted, and I would alter them. And, eventually I would just say, well, I can make this thing myself, so I'm just going to do it myself. And I don't know, it's not really, I know it doesn't really help probably, but it just takes practice, really. I think the best thing to do is go out and just find all the kind of pixel art that you really, oh crap, I forgot to get my step. Find all the pixel art that you like, and save it to your computer and look at it, and oh, I did get a sound. I'm going daft here. All right, so yeah, so just go out and find it. Try to recreate it, I suppose. Let's see what I can do here. And yeah, that's the best thing I can do. I mean, there's lots of great resources out there to help you with getting started. I know Pixel Joint is a great little website that I go to all the time, and look at people's examples and read, people's, read the forum for how, people's, what am I trying to say here? Their different techniques and things like that. So that would be, probably my biggest suggestion. As far as animations go, I think that, once again, it's kind of the same thing. I would look at, for the walking animation of this character, for example, I kind of went out and looked at walking animations, broke them down frame by frame, and just kind of looked at what, how they moved, and I just would create, try to copy it. Just copying, that's basically what you got to do if you, don't have the skills, really, so I hope that helps. So we're at about 13 minutes here. I want to play a little bit longer, but I might have to cut this off before I get to the next save point. But I'm going to go ahead and just keep plugging along. Not really sure if I've got anything else that I really wanted to talk about, but in this episode, I have a feeling I'll probably end up running out of things to say before I finish this game, but we'll see. Maybe if you guys keep... Actually, that's what I want to say. So I really do enjoy that I got questions, to talk about. So if you've got any questions about, anything, how I did something in the game, or why something is the way it is, or just anything you can think of, just post it on the comments to this, and I will definitely make an attempt to answer it in the next video. And like I said, I'm going to keep doing these until I just run out of things to talk about. It'd be nice if I could get through the whole game, but definitely not going to make any guarantees of that at this point. So I feel like I really didn't answer that question about the pixel art very good. Maybe I'll think about that one some more and say a little something else about it on the next video. But I think I'm going to call it quits for now. So thanks again for listening to this, and I hope that you'll continue to watch them as I post them. Hopefully I'll have the next one out within the week, and like I said, I look forward to seeing if you guys have questions or anything else. So I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.